The first sign is not a raid. It is a new inmate getting walked in while the staff watch your face before they decide where he sleeps. You are standing inside a prison wing, run by schedules on paper and private permission in practice. Nothing about the room looks dramatic enough to deserve what it is really doing. That is the first thing bad systems understand. They survive longer when the surface stays ordinary. If you are the prisoner the guards work for, the room never feels loud at first. It feels procedural, measured, almost polite, and that is exactly why your pulse changes when the pattern finally reveals itself. The official story says you are inside the unofficial prison order. The truth is that you are inside something meaner. A machine that learned how to rename damage before anyone in the room has to admit what they are helping build. People imagine prison power as pure violence and sudden domination. The title sounds cinematic from a distance. That distance protects the audience. It lets them imagine the role is powered by brilliance, danger, or some rare criminal charisma. But the uglier truth is maintenance, debt management, and unofficial order inside concrete. The room is built from softer language than anyone outside would expect. Movement, stability, classification, and cooperation. Words that make harm sound like workflow. Words that let ordinary people inside the system keep showing up for the next shift without hearing themselves too clearly. That is what makes the role uglier than the title suggests. It is not powered by drama. It is powered by administration. If you are the prisoner the guards work for, your real job is not the public-facing one. Your real job is to manage permission, protection, debt, and atmosphere. That means reading pressure before it becomes visible. It means understanding which person in the room is about to panic, fold, comply, freeze, or betray. It means sounding calm while everyone else keeps trying to hide the structure behind softer words. The role only looks powerful because most people see the outcome, not the maintenance. They see the quiet tear before count, the inmate who gets left alone because you said so, the fight that never happens, and the officer pretending not to notice who really calmed the block. They do not see the repetition underneath, the scripts, the quiet metrics, the little corrections in tone and timing that turn one bad idea into a functioning system. That is where the real skill sits. Every rotten system survives by protecting the same lie, that everything happening here is still manageable, that it is still professional, that the next step is only process, that nobody in the room is directly responsible for the final shape of the damage. In your world, the lie is reinforced every day. One guard wants the shift to end quietly. One shot caller wants the phones to keep moving. One runner carries debt and messages between tiers. One lieutenant signs paperwork describing peace as policy instead of arrangement. Distance is not a side effect. It is part of the design. It keeps the human cost out of frame long enough for the system to call itself necessary. And once the system can describe itself that way, it becomes much harder for the people inside it to leave cleanly. Outside the machine, people always ask the same question. Why not walk out? The honest answer is never flattering. Power feels safer than vulnerability on a block built from debt. Once men depend on you for order, stepping back creates a vacuum you may not survive. Prison teaches you to confuse usefulness with freedom. The role gives people just enough distance to keep postponing moral certainty. Not forever, just one more day, then one more week, then long enough for the routine to start sounding normal inside your own head. That is the part the audience tends to underestimate. Systems like this do not only trap the target on the outside, they trap the worker on the inside by making ambiguity feel employable. The role always takes payment somewhere private first. Sleep gets thinner, ordinary conversations start sounding strategic. Every room begins to feel slightly staged. The cost is not only fear, it is distortion. You stop relaxing even when the tier is quiet. Every conversation sounds like a potential test. Protection starts to look like ownership. The cage does not disappear when you run the block. It just starts using your voice. That is when you know the machine is working on you too. Because once the role changes the way you saw other human beings in your head, the title stops feeling clever and starts feeling clinical. There is always a moment when the surface story breaks. Usually it happens for a stupid reason. A face, a name, a question, a pause that should not matter and suddenly does. That is when the role becomes impossible to keep translating into safe office. Language. The safe vocabulary drops away. You finally hear the clean sentence underneath the workflow. You are not above the prison. You have become one of the mechanisms it uses to keep itself livable and cruel at the same time. Not abstractly, not someday, now. And once you see that clearly, the room never fully returns to normal again. The part outsiders almost never picture is the routine. Most shifts inside the prisoner the guards work for do not feel dramatic enough to justify the title. They feel like checking numbers, reading faces, correcting tone, and noticing which small inconsistency will matter later. That is how the unofficial prison order keeps functioning without looking like a crisis every minute. The room survives on repetition because repetition makes ugly work feel ordinary. Somebody updates the sheet, somebody checks the route, somebody rewrites the explanation before anyone has to say the honest word for what just happened. The more practiced the routine becomes, the easier it is for people inside it to mistake maintenance for professionalism. That is why the role can look calm even while everyone in it is quietly calibrating fear. The second thing outsiders miss is what failure actually means here. In worlds like this, failure is never only a mistake on paper. It immediately becomes a question about loyalty, competence, exposure, and whether somebody is already preparing a version of the story that leaves you holding the damage alone. The money, the route, the file, the target, the lie, the missing hour, or the wrong call log all become social evidence long before they become official evidence. That is why the room learns to fear inconsistency more than morality. Morality can be postponed, suspicion cannot. And once suspicion enters the room, everyone starts editing themselves at the same time. That is when the title stops sounding powerful and starts sounding fragile. People love asking why someone in the prisoner the guards work for does not simply walk away. The answer is that leaving is rarely one clean decision. It is contacts, favours, debts, habits, and the humiliating discovery that your normal life has been organised around a machine you can no longer trust. By the time the role feels clearly wrong, the role has usually already changed your income, your language, your reflexes, and the people who can hurt you for disappearing badly. That is why escape often arrives late and messy instead of noble and clean. It is not only fear of punishment, it is fear that the version of you built inside the system has become more employable than the version that existed before it. That is the quiet trap underneath a lot of dark roles. Usefulness becomes harder to abandon than guilt. The title also misleads people about where power really sits. It almost never sits with the loudest person in the room. It usually sits with the person who can decide what gets recorded, what gets denied, what gets delayed, and whose version of events becomes official enough to survive the week. That is why roles like the prisoner the guards work for become more dangerous as they become more administrative. Violence is obvious. Documentation is quieter. Documentation tells everyone which lie will be treated as reality once the panic settles. And once a room learns how to do that well, people inside it stop fighting for the truth and start fighting for the version that leaves them standing. That is where a lot of hidden systems actually become powerful. Not by being louder than everyone else, but by deciding what counts after the damage is done. Enough time inside a system like this changes your sense of scale. A normal day stops feeling like a day and starts feeling like a sequence of risk events that need to be pushed into tomorrow. The week becomes one long containment exercise. Sleep starts feeling procedural. Silence starts sounding temporary. Even success stops feeling like relief, because success only means the machine stays alive long enough to demand another shift from you. That is what makes titles like this darker than they first sound. The role does not only put you near danger, it teaches your whole sense of time to organise itself around it. So what does the title really mean? It means the public description is hiding the real function. It means the prisoner the guards work for sounds like a role and behaves like a machine part. It means the system around you survives by keeping the human cost one layer away from the people doing the work. It means every ordinary word in the room was chosen to make the ugliness easier to repeat tomorrow. And it means running the prison does not free you from the cage. It only means the cage has learned your name well enough to speak through you. The audience hears danger, the people inside hear process. You hear both. And once both meanings live in your head at the same time, there is no neutral way to hear the title again